public hearing on the proposal financing and construction equipment of police department building. Ms. Berry?
Council is requested to approve a resolution regarding the proposed financing of certain public infrastructure improvements, including the construction and equipping of the police department building at 900 Monroe Avenue and refinancing of a loan from the Economic Development Authority used to enter and finance the building. The town expects to issue a general obligation bond or bonds in an aggregate for a principal amount not to exceed $10 million to accomplish the financing.
Motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council approve a resolution regarding financing of construction and equipping of the police department building at 900 Monroe Avenue and refinancing of a loan from the Front Royal Warren County Economic Development Authority used to in turn finance the police department building. The town expected to issue a general obligation bond or bonds in an aggregate amount not to exceed $10 million to accomplish the financing as preserved.
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor. I think somebody may, if you heard the EDA mentioned here, I think you don't get confused. We have to pay the loan that the EDA got for us so that we could build the building. Now this loan is going to be done through a bond issue through the VML, which is the Virginia Municipal League. So it'll have nothing to do with the EDA, period. We have nothing to do with the EDA. We don't finance them. We have no say in the EDA whatsoever. The only thing they were used as our fiduciary, which means that they borrowed money for us. When the new market tax credit went down the drain, and we no longer had that opportunity, which we never had to begin with, even though we were told that we did. We found out later we weren't even approved for the loans for the new market tax credits. So when we found this out, we had to find another source to pay for this building. And so that left us no other choice but to go out on the bond market and borrow the $10 million in order to get the payback so we can pay back the EDA or their financial people, which I think was United Bank, I'm not sure. But whoever they were, we have to pay them back in order to, so we have to secure this loan so that we can go forward with the police department building. And so when you hear the word EDA here, it has nothing to do with them other than we're going to pay somebody back for the amount of money that we got from them to build the police department. Thank you.
We have a motion, we have a second. Ms. Berry?
Thank you. And just to confirm, there were no speakers signed up this evening. Councilman Gillespie.
Yes.
Councilman Holloway.
Yes.
Councilman Seelock.
Yes.
And Councilman Tewalt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Close, we call the closed public hearing at this time.
Yes.
Item number 10, council approval proclamation for Workers' Memorial Day.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council approve a proclamation proclaiming April 28, 2019 as Workers' Memorial Day in the town of Front Royal.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
And we have several here. See you there. We're going to have the vice mayor present that to you. If y'all can come forward and join us down front. I have it in my packet. If you want to take them.
I'm sorry. Can you get our picture? You can take it with mine.
Yes, I can do that.
I'd like to bring the
One for the press.
electrical workers up first, please. There's fine.
Y'all could gather on either side of him and read this proclamation for you. He doesn't bite.
Don't be bashful, come on.
Thank you. This proclamation is for Workers' Memorial Day. Whereas each April 28th, we observe Workers' Memorial Day as the day to remember those who have suffered and died on the job, and whereas this date has been chosen because of its anniversary date that the Occupational Safety and Health Act went into effect, whereas we remember those who have died in workplace catastrophes and suffered diseases because of exposure to toxic substances, or have been injured because of dangerous conditions, we rededicate ourselves to the fight for safe workplaces. Whereas the core theme for Workers' Memorial Day has been mourn for the dead, but fight for the living. And whereas Workers' Memorial Day is observed in nearly 100 countries, and all workers have the right to a safe job. Whereas we join with businesses and labor in recognizing that the Commonwealth's greatest resource is its educated, skilled, and dedicated workforce. Now, therefore, do I, William A. Seelock, the Vice Mayor of the Town of Front Royal, proclaim Sunday, April 28, 2019 to be Workers' Memorial Day in the Town of Front Royal and the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, you're the lucky one. Yeah, don't. Okay.
We have more if there's not enough there.
I appreciate you all coming up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we can do that now. I'm going to do it afterwards. Do you like to do We're going to go forward. You gentlemen can come forward, join the
Come on, I won't bite. I might sound a little gruff, but I don't bite. Seems I saw you all the other night. Yeah. Appreciate you showing up.
We're going to approve this afterwards. Thank you.
In recognition of the Vietnam Veterans Day, it's been declared that March 29th is Vietnam Veterans Day. I am a Vietnam veteran. I would like the Vietnam veterans in this audience to stand, please. There are a lot of Vietnam veterans in your county and town. This is recognition of their service. I would also like the veterans that stood not in the combat zone, but in the Southeast Asia piece, if there's any here. They were among us when we came back from service during this era when it was no honor to wear your uniform. You had to stow it away. You had to wear your civilian clothes when you went out on the streets. So this is in recognition of all the Vietnam veterans and those who served during the era. Ms. Berry, would you read, please?
Yes, sir. This certificate of recognition by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of the Town of Front Royal, Virginia, the Front Royal Town Council hereby officially recognizes Vietnam War Veterans Day, whereas more than 230,000 Virginians, including many great servicemen and women from our community, served the nation in Vietnam. More than 1,300 sacrificed their lives, and 46 Virginians are still listed as missing in action. And whereas of the 246 service members who were awarded the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military award, 8 were Virginians, including 7 who died in action. Whereas Virginians, including many Front Royal Warren County residents, served in Vietnam from the beginning to the end, with a Virginian being one of the first casualties of the war in 1961 and one of the last in 1975. And whereas the Vietnam War was extremely divisive among the people of the United States, and the debate about the country's involvement in the war deprived many members of the armed forces of public support and appreciation of their patriotic service. Whereas the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who returned from Vietnam were never accorded the recognition and praise that was routinely given returning servicemen and women in earlier wars. And whereas it is especially important that the extraordinary contributions of America's Vietnam War veterans and the sacrifice of their families be remembered and recognized. Whereas the Vietnam War Veterans Recognition Act of 2017 officially designated March 29th as the annual Vietnam War Veterans Day. Now, therefore, I, William A. Seelock, do hereby recognize March 29th as Vietnam War Veterans Day in the town of Front Royal, Virginia, and call its observance to the attention of all of our citizens.
Thank you, Ms. Berry.
He's part of this group. One more. Please, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. No.
We can have an official motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move that council approve a certificate of recognition retroactively proclaiming March 29th, 2019 as Vietnam War Veterans Day in the town of Front Royal, Virginia.
Second.
Ms. Berry, roll call, please.
Councilman Gillespie,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Seelock,
Yes.
and Councilman Tewalt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 12, council approval of ordinance to vacate a portion of the alley at 208 West Duck Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council adopt on the second and final reading an ordinance to additionally vacate a public right-of-way that includes the end portion of 25 feet of an alley located behind the rear and adjacent to 208 West Duck Street and owned by Jerry Bell Jr. I further move that the council rescind the ordinance approved by council on December the 11th, 2017.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Ms. Berry, roll call, please.
Councilman Gillespie,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Seelock,
Yes.
and Councilman Tewalt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 13, council approval for ordinance to amend the town code, chapter 12-2 and 175-137 pertaining to fees.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council adopt on its second and final reading an ordinance to amend town code chapter 12-2 fees and 175-137 fees, charges, expenses as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Ms. Berry, would you give me a roll call, please?
Councilman Gillespie,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Seelock,
Yes.
and Councilman Tewalt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 14, council nominations for the 2019 VML Policy Committee.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council nominate the following to the various Virginia Municipal League policy committees, said terms to expire December the 31st, 2019. Community and Economic Committee, Councilman Gillespie and Councilman Thompson. Environmental Equality Committee, Town Manager Joe Walls and Councilman Holloway. Finance Committee, Finance Director B.J. Wilson and Councilman Meza. General Laws Committee, Town Attorney Napier, Councilman Seelock. Transportation Committee, Councilman Tewalt.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Ms. Berry, would you give me a roll call, please?
Councilman Gillespie,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Seelock,
Yes.
and Councilman Tewalt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 15, closed meeting. Investment of funds, public funds with respect to the former Afton Inn.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council convene and go into closed meeting with respect to the former Afton Inn property for the following purposes. Number 1, discussion and consideration of investment of public funds where competition and bargaining is involved. Whereas it's made public initially, the financial interests of the government unit would be adversely affected pursuant to section 2.2-371A-A-6 of the Code of Virginia. Number 2, discussion of award of the public contract involving the expenditures of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offers, discussion of the terms of the scope of such contract, or decisions in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining portion or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.2-371.A.29 of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
I have a motion and a second at this point. Ms. Berry, would you give me a roll call, please?
Councilman Gillespie.
Yes.
Councilman Holloway.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Seawald.
Yes.
And Councilman Tewalt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, being no more business in front of the public, I announce that this meeting is closed.